Imagine cruising. More than just a cruise. Visit imaginecruising.co.uk now to find your dream holiday.
Hi, welcome to A Week in Walford, the EastEnders review show hosted by two people who've been celebrating the show's 34th anniversary this week. I've been singing Something Out of Nothing.
And I've been playing Every Loser Wins on the piano. Do you remember that one?
I do remember that one. Maybe we'll sing that later. That's lovely. I'm Johnathon Hughes.
And I'm Simon Timblick.
This week's headlines: Friends reunited,
Sister Act,
and Save Our Keanu. So it's nice to be back, but unfortunately there's been a hostage swap with David Brown and I. David's now being held by some Spanish mechanics, unfortunately, and Phil's had to go and save him, so I'm sure he'll be fine.
Sounds intense.
I know, but yes, David will be back soon. The first topic to discuss this week is, of course, the big comebacks of the week. Lofty and Mary were back after 31 years.
31 years, but of course it was actually the 34th anniversary of EastEnders
It was,
week.
And that was the day they were back, and it was Dr. Legg's funeral, so lots of nods to the past. I thought that was really nice. And I mean, some people might not have been alive when Lofty and Mary were in the show, which is slightly disconcerting for Simon and I. But it was really nice to see Lofty. He was kind of the original lovable loser, wasn't he, of the show?
He was, but hasn't he done well? So he is now owner of 15 pubs, and rather strangely, he parted by leaving a cheque for £20,000 for Michelle Fowler's daughter Vicky, who he once thought he might be her father. So that was a bit strange.
It was a bit strange.
Very generous, but a bit strange.
And yeah, Lofty left the show basically as a part-time barman to be a handyman at a children's home, Wikipedia tells me. So he's now Alan Sugar, basically. He's become like the Lord Sugar of Walford.
He did very well for himself.
Well done, Lofty. 20 grand.
20 grand.
To someone he's not seen for 31 years.
Generous. And where's that? Oh, Vicky's in Australia.
Vicky's in Australia, yeah, so she'll be in the money, thanks to Lofty. There was also Mary the Punk, is her actual middle name.
Rebel.
Mary the Punk Smith.
Up yours. Anarchy, that's what it was back in the 80s,
Anarchy in Walford, yeah. So she recalled to her old mates that she gave the two-fingered salute, as she called it, when she left EastEnders, famously in her last scene. I kind of felt like that was a bit because the archive department at EastEnders had seen that episode or watched that clip just to have some references to what Mary did in her last episode.
Is it on the YouTube?
It's probably on the YouTube, isn't it? So Mary was reunited with her old friend Dot, but threw shade at Dot a little bit, didn't she? Do you remember she was like, yeah, you nearly got my kid taken off me, and do you remember you did this, and do you remember they did that? And it was all a bit, hang on, love. Back it up. But then Dot did remind her, didn't she, that she gave her own Wikipedia version of, well, actually, Mary, dear, I think you'll find I did this, and this in our storylines together, and all was forgiven.
And also, you forgot that the Pat was in it at the same time as there was a crossover.
There was a crossover,
Pat tried to put Mary on the game.
She did.
Which I couldn't remember, but I didn't realise that Pat was in it early on.
Yeah, and she was a nasty bit of work then. She was obviously trying to put Mary on the game, a single mum on the game. Anyway, luckily Pat turned into a nice person.
I tell you what I thought was a little bit strange about that episode. I thought it was a little bit strange that Dot wasn't actually at Dr. Legg's funeral ceremony. Can we discuss?
Yeah, and not only that, she was absent from quite a few scenes in her own house.
Yes.
Sonia was constantly coming out of the bedroom going, nah, she's having to lie down. She's not in this scene. And then why wasn't she at the synagogue? What do you think? Do you think, I don't know, because you don't see Dot outside very often, and June Brown is a trooper, but she's in her 90s. Do you think perhaps she maybe doesn't film outside very often or go on location? Or was Dot like, I can't be bothered?
I don't know. What do you think? I thought it was a bit strange. After all the sort of build up to Dr. Legg's death, that she
didn't bother going.
And it seemed like maybe Sonia read the speech that Dot would have read.
Yeah, and Natalie Cassidy did a sterling job of literally saying, Dot's not here, so I'm going to read it. I've literally got June Brown's script. She left it in the green room. I don't know what happened there. But,
but there was a lot of nice nods to, sort of nostalgic nods to sort of characters past.
Yes.
Kathy and Pete, and Angie, Lou Beale.
Ethel, I think, might have got a mention. It was a nice nod to the past, I think. But as ever with soaps, you've got to look to the future, which brings us on to topic number 2 this week. So we had Lofty and Mary and Dr. Legg remembered, but we welcomed Iqra and Habiba Ahmed, the feisty sisters.
Feisties.
They're leapfrogging over tube barriers. They're taking over businesses with absolutely no qualifications. They're independent ladies.
Independent. But that was when she jumped over the barriers at the tube. I thought it was a bit weird that nobody went, "Oi, get back here!" Like you know.
Have you ever tried that, Simon, to leap over a barrier?
I always have my Oyster card.
Oh, well
with me
done.
to hand.
Well done. So yeah, it was unmanned at the time.
Unmanned at Walford East.
Luckily for Iqra. So Iqra and Habiba, on the fan reaction online, a lot of people were drawing parallels with the Mitchell sisters, with Ronnie and Roxy. Do you think that's a fair comparison?
Well, I think those two are obviously much missed. Ronnie and Roxy from EastEnders.
R.I.P. as well.
R.I.P.
Weighed down by a wedding dress. Oh, no. What a way to go, anyway.
Or were they?
Yeah.
So I guess, kind of bringing in a new sister act is quite a smart move.
And they feel like the dynamic is quite similar. You've got an older, slightly more serious, slightly more in control, and slightly more uptight one, like Iqra is a bit Ronnie, and then you've got the younger, slightly flightier, a bit more glamorous, a bit more up for a laugh, who's Habiba, who is kind of a Roxy. Do you think that's the dynamic of this? Although there's another sister. So
yes.
Uncle Masood said, "Where's your other sister, klaxon of Dark Secret in these characters' past?" And they were like, "Shut that down." So there's a third Ahmed sister.
And also, what are the sisters doing in Albert Square?
Yeah, why have they really come?
Are they on the run?
I think they're on the run. They've got to be escaping something, haven't they? Because they shut down any mention of the rest of the family when Masood asked, like, "Oh, I should get in touch with them." Like, no, it's fine. So, Shifty, watch this space. I think also this is symbolic of the new era in EastEnders. Kate Oates had her first credited episode as the new producer this week. So, bit of girl power, I think.
Girl power?
Yeah,
yes.
Quite like that. I did make me wonder, though, because Masood also left as part of this storyline.
Oh, he did. Very quickly, rather.
Within seconds of like, "Oh, hi, it's my nieces who I never mentioned. Bye, I'm off in my van." That van looks pretty amazing, doesn't it?
Will it make it all the way to Australia? Or is it just to Gatwick Airport?
I think it might just be the car park at Gatwick. But it made me think when he mentioned their grandparents and his auntie and uncle as Mariam and Arshad.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them.
They've not been in it hardly at all. He said they're in Pakistan and they're going to go to Australia for Tamara's wedding. But it made me think, also, where's Ted Murray? Well, didn't he go to Australia a couple of months ago for a holiday and he's never come back? I think there's like a real Marigold Hotel thing happening with the EastEnders pensioners.
I think there's a lot of people. There's quite a lot of people off screen at the moment. So there's Keanu, there's Jack, there's Max.
Ian's gone to New Zealand.
We'll get onto that, but we saw Phil shift off.
Do you know what it is?
Well, what's going on?
Panto season. So I think they film a few months ahead. Everyone's in Panto.
That'll explain it then.
Well, talking of Phil, it brings us to our last topic of the week. Well, Phil and Sharon, or as Karen Taylor calls them, the blonde tramp and the bald psycho. How neighbourly. They were up to all sorts this week when the truth about Keanu was kind of revealed as to what he was really doing in Spain.
Oh, he'd been duffed up.
He'd been duffed up.
Duffed up.
The duff was that he was duffed up.
He's not deaded, he's just got duffed up.
Yeah, and he has got duffed up by some angry mechanics. I was a bit let down by that, weren't you?
Spanish mechanics.
I know. So Phil's opened some garages abroad and they undercut the locals and it's got a bit tasty.
Tasty.
Did you think were you a bit like, is that it?
I was expecting a bit more of a kind of, I don't know, like a sort of soap conspiracy theory, like what has happened to Keanu? It's a bit,
Someone's selling windscreen wipers at a cut price discount. Anyway, a bit boring. But what was more exciting, for a few seconds we thought Louise was going to be pregnant by Keanu. What a twist. But then she made it up just to get Phil to kind of tell her where Keanu was. But, theory time. I think Louise actually is pregnant.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, I think she's, because surely, this love triangle, Sharon, Keanu, Louise, it's got to have a pregnancy thrown in the mix. My prediction, Keanu will come back battered and bruised, realise that he does love Sharon, and Sharon will realise she does love Keanu. And then Louise is like, "Oh, you know what? I actually am pregnant." And Keanu is a decent fella and he will stick with Louise.
That could be good.
Do you think that could be good?
That could be good. Do you think, viewers? Let us know.
I also liked how Karen provides quite a good service to the locals this week. Did you notice this?
Oh, do you mean Karen's text alert?
Taylor's texts.
She's like 45 minutes and counting, Sharon. Oh no!
Sharon Pat reading the text like.
Oh, it's a bit like Love Island. Text. Karen's texts are coming through.
That would be great. I think. Maybe Karen's going to be like the human alarm clock. like every time.
I'd be kind of scared to receive a text message from Karen
She could be your
Taylor.
your text alert voice.
I don't want to come in crashing through the back door.
No, that back door needs fixing as well because she's slammed it that many times.
Classic.
We need that. Anyway, that is all for this week. We're off now to help Bernadette with her makeup for her next date.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
But I wonder if we can go buy McClunkies.
Oh, McClunkies. Shall we? Should we treat ourselves?
It's Friday, innit?
Let's do
treat
it.
yourself.
Let's do it. Okay, well, join us in 7 days' time. We'll be back for another week in Walford.
Escape the drama with Imagine Cruising. Visit imaginecruising.co.uk now to find your dream holiday.